for a fan to be like, hey, I know you probably hate my existence and want me to be eradicated from the earth, but I think you're funny on the internet. So could you please, not hate crime me and be nice to me, please? Check out this idubbbz video. So I missed the old idubbbz. idubbbz was known for being super crazy, super wild, internet comedian, attracted a really far right crowd.
For a while, I felt like if I changed my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value. But I'm starting to realize that that is a very weak and passive way to, run my channel and live my life. So I think it's, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs.
Oh yeah, that's a callback too. Yeah, Tana, he said sane, and then he screamed it at her, and then she kind of made it seem like he had attacked her, and she misrepresented the whole situation, which he did. You definitely shouldn't do, but she made it seem like it was something completely different. But he recorded, so he had the proof. It was like a whole crazy thing. He's a wild guy.
I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I've made. So that's what this video is. I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel, and I've also created a culture of apathy and a lot of cruelty as well. Some of the videos I've made have been very not edgy. I don't think they some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel. So I don't want people to get it confused about where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are content cop videos and videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human, I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not. It's super irresponsible and shitty. I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or entertain. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly.
That's an interesting thing to say, because if you look at his channel right here at the bottom of the page, it says right here 7.56 million subscribers. That's a lot of subscribers. 7.56.
What?
Also, his most popular videos, let's see how much they get. 23 million, 18 million, 15 million. So he's definitely made a lot of really popular content. But a lot of it, especially the content cops, or even weird stuff like bad unboxing fan mail, it was it could get a little edgy. And a lot of slurs were involved. A lot of him bullying people. It's like a big meta where it was you bullying other people on the internet, and that was your content. Whether it was a bigger celebrity, some kind of controversial figure on the internet, like Rice Gum, or it might just be you bullying kids. This one guy, Leafy, is here. He just made videos bullying random little kids on the internet. That was his thing.
And it's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content. I ended up pivoting it into other things because I felt bad about it, innately. But it's still something that I struggle with, and I don't want you to interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing. I'm not confident in my ability to entertain, and I think if I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, that I wouldn't have any amount of success, and that is really hard to come to terms with. I was being very bigoted in a lot of my videos, and I justified it because, you know, I didn't think it was too serious, and I thought that people were going to see that I had good intentions, you know, but that's so silly, you know. Casual racism is still racism. Casual bigotry is still bigotry. And, you know, I said a lot of things that I look back at and I cringe now, and I'm like, that is an awful thing to say. It doesn't matter what my intentions are. Like, if I'm hurting people, I'm hurting people. And, you know, who the fuck knows what my intentions are? Like, sarcasm and, like, jokiness and jokey tone only goes so far, especially over the internet. Even in real life, that's, like, an impossible thing to know with 100% certainty. I've just always had this dumb philosophy that I'm not responsible for, you know, my audience and how they behave beyond what content I put out.
Before I put the ad on this, you might bring it up later to the video, but there was a really big pipeline that still pretty much exists on YouTube where it was like edgy humor, then like, you know, based humor, and then things that were converting people farther and farther down. It's like alt-right pipeline where they would slowly become radicalized. First, like memes, the internet personalities, then like conservative takes on like or like being really against feminism or homophobia or minorities in general, and then it eventually led to like 4chan and people basically being like alt-right Nazis. He was a part of that pipeline for a long time. I definitely appreciate, you know, him making content talking about how he doesn't want to do that anymore, and he's not doing that anymore. But yeah, people are a product of their environment too. People are a product of their environment, and people are a product of who they watch. And as of now, YouTube has gotten rid of a lot of like the actual like out and about Nazis or a lot of out and about white supremacists. YouTube has gotten like a lot of them. But yeah, people are a product of who they watch, and they probably, especially like if you're like a 14-year-old boy on the internet who lives in like Iowa, who's really isolated from like having a real large personal community, then you get wrapped up in all these memes and edgy humor, then yeah, you're gonna become radicalized. You know, you're gonna believe a lot of things that, you know, become important to you because this is your content saying. If your favorite content creator is running around as a white guy screaming the N-word and being like really homophobic or racist jokes, you know, that's what you're gonna do. So yeah.
And that's stupid, and it's led to a lot of hate and a lot of bad outcomes. And I just want to make it clear that I am absolutely responsible for my audience. And you know, I guess if you want to, you know, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does. I know that this apology isn't enough. I've clearly done a lot of damage. You know, these videos have been up for a long time and have accumulated millions of views. I shouldn't be able to just make an apology video and walk away from it. This is something that I should live the rest of my life with, and I expect to. I've profited off of this bigoted content for years, and I've made a successful career out of it, and that's not right. I think that this is only a step in the right direction, and I know that a lot more needs to be done to even approach a life that I would think would be like acceptable. I am running ads on this video, and any revenue generated from this video I'm going to match and donate to an organization that, you know, would have been particularly affected by the type of rhetoric that I've been spewing on this channel. And again, this isn't the end of what I'm doing. This is just the start. I don't feel like a lot of this content represents me as a person, at least not anymore. There was a...
Okay, I don't know what he's about to say, but that's an interesting take. I don't think any of this content represents me as a person. I don't know what he's going to say after this, so we're gonna listen to it in a second, but that seems like a completely disingenuous thing to say. To be like, I don't think any of this shit, like... It's a lot of shit. I'm not going to go through it to try to, like, you know, make him seem really bad. But there's like a lot of shit that's like anti-sex worker shit like that. He didn't even believe anymore. Like he has a sex worker girlfriend who made like an OnlyFans and shit like that. But he was like bashing women, causing them like any kind of slur imaginable that you could call a woman, he would call them that. Except for when his girlfriend does it, then suddenly he's like okay with it, and he's the most sex work positive dude in fucking existence. So that just makes you like a complete fucking hypocrite, if anything. But let's see what he says.
A time where it probably perfectly represented me because I was a nasty, apathetic, insecure person. Now that I don't feel like it represents me and I want to distance myself from it and keep it from, you know, indoctrinating more people, I'd like to unlist the videos so that people, you know, can access them still for whatever, you know, purposes they might want to do that for. But it's not being proliferated on the website. I feel like that's the best solution, at least for the time being. And for anyone who liked those videos, I want this video to be an example and a lesson for you. You know, you can like content, but you can also think that it's irresponsible and it's hurting other people. So just tap into that part of your brain that's saying like, oh, okay, it's probably not that important that this video stays online because truthfully, I've seen it, I've experienced the content, but it's done a lot of damage. We can just let it go. I'm sorry to everyone that I made content cop videos on. I still don't like the majority of you, and that's fine, but I can recognize that you did not deserve the hate and harassment that I sent your way. I particularly want to apologize to Tana. Tana, I'm sorry. I should have never made that video. I harassed Tana in person and then harassed her online, and that's deplorable behavior. It's so stupid. I'm also sorry to all the black...
I'm not sure what you mean by like Tyler the Creator shit, but I've seen some stuff Tyler the Creator. This dude was basically like borderline. His inner persona was like borderline white supremacist. So I don't like not white supremacist, but like not white supremacist, if anything. So yeah, I don't think Tyler the Creator was that bad. Maybe he was. I don't know, but I don't think so.
Black viewers and minority groups who had to put up with that video and put up with, you know, the phrases. I said either it's all okay or none of it's okay. And that's just so dangerous and stupid. I have made content that I am proud of over the years. It hasn't been as consistent as maybe I'd like it to have been. But, you know, there is a lot of content that I think had a net positive on the world. And, you know, I'm going to strive to continue on that trend. But again, I'm absolutely going to continue to make mistakes, but I want the mistakes to be a lot smaller and a lot less serious. I also want to give some clarity to the post-fight speech that I gave. I mean, it wasn't a speech. It was a phrase. I was like,
you know, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But I really do appreciate the support, and, you know, thank you for coming.
That was addressing the people over the years that I neglected and I left behind. You know, the people whose feelings I, you know, didn't take into consideration. Those are the people who I was addressing as, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Anyone who thinks that I should be shouting the N-word from the rooftops, I don't want to be your cup of tea. Now I want to talk about events and situations that have happened over the past 5 years of my life that have led me to the place I'm at now. One year I was at a convention and a bunch of fans were, you know, wanting pictures, and this particular fan came up to me and said, I know you probably don't like transgender people, but can I, you know, get a picture? That smacked me in the face. I was like, oh.
Holy shit. That must have been something upsetting. I don't know what he was saying. That had to be so upsetting for a fan to be like, hey, I know you probably hate my existence and want me to be eradicated from the earth, but I think you're funny on the internet. So could you please, you know, not hate crime me and be nice to me, please?
Holy shit. Why would you think that? But I mean, it was fairly obvious. I was being cruel, hateful, bigoted, and being very uncaring about people's feelings. That is a very fair assessment to make. I was giving this person bad vibes, and I think I've given a lot of people extremely bad vibes. Another event that was very important for me to experience was I went on a boxing podcast. I was basically like trying to walk back my Tana content cop. You know, I was still very like insecure and uncomfortable with the fact that I made that video, and but I was still coping. You'll see me struggle in this clip to, you know, say that it was wrong.
So I just wanted to let you talk on that, right? Because obviously using the N-word is definitely frowned upon by a lot of people, especially by a non-African American, but I was just curious.
That was a very weird video because I wanted to like criticize her for her like sort of flagrant use of it. I've been pretty flagrant about it too, not in the same way.
That's complete bullshit. He says it all the fucking time. I think the only difference was she was using the N-word in more of like a casual, racism, hateful way, and his idea was he was using it more like in an ironic way to make fun of other people for using it. But he's still using it like I used the slur, but I think I have a really good reason. Like I don't know what the fuck that shit is, but yeah.
I thought there was a message to be shared there, and I don't think it was particularly. It was okay in criticizing her, but I think I probably wasn't the person to deliver the message, if that makes sense. There was a message that I was trying to put out there, and like I'm not really the person to put out that message. I don't regret making the video. I think, you know, there's bits and pieces to take from it that I think are valuable, but you know, I probably wouldn't make it these days.
Yeah, just for context again, he went to her. He went to her. To her meet and greet, grabbed her, and said, "Say N-word," and then take a picture. That's what he did. I'm not gonna show the video, but that's what he did.
I'm very grateful to those guys and how they broached the subject because, you know, it didn't put me on the defensive. It just made me realize, like, I'm stupid. I'm stupid, and I really need to like acknowledge these things. Like what am I doing? I'm still trying to make excuses for myself and like, you know, why I made that video. It's like, it was a dumb idea. I harassed someone. I was saying slurs and I was trying to justify it all. A very big thing that has sort of altered my view on all of this is just the amount of hate and harassment my wife Anissa has received over the years.
Oh yeah, he's probably gonna go to this in a second. Basically, something earlier, like he used a lot of like the most derogatory language you could use to refer to like someone who's like a sex worker. They call them sluts and whores and this and that, and like how you like abuse men, like any derogatory thing you could say towards women. He said it, and I guess he didn't realize it was, hey, this is bad, and still started affecting his girlfriend and now his wife at the time. So it's just like only learning any amount of empathy when it directly affects you.
She's had to deal with it from the beginning of our relationship, and I have done a horrible job at acknowledging her and her feelings for it. A lot of the time I just thought that
actually, probably realistically, a lot of the heat she probably gets is because she associates with him. She probably wouldn't be getting that much attention if it wasn't for him, especially like the negative attention.
That was her problem, or that was
just to clarify why I'm saying that, it's literally his fan base attacking her.
You know, other people's problem. Like, it's not my problem that you're getting hate and harassment. And it's like, no, it absolutely is. You know, that's the culture that I cultivated, and I, you know, didn't do anything to change that. You know, over the years it's changed a little bit, but you know, I don't think I've still fully acknowledged how responsible I am for the amount of harassment that Anissa has had to deal with. And this year I decided to speak more candidly and be more open about who I am as a person, and to speak on my life a little bit more. And I did that on Anthony Padilla's podcast. These are the people that I'm attracting. These are the people that I'm entertaining. Like, I need to reevaluate things. They're relating and enjoying this content for a reason, and that's not maybe the same reason that I'm trying to make. I had a very Wild West mentality when it came to online behavior. Like, people are going to do what they want to do. People are going to say what they want to say. And I can pretty much do the same because it's the internet. But I think you have to be a lot more responsible. If you guys are at all interested in how I've arrived here, that video gives, you know, a good bit of context and talks about some of my life a little bit. There is a clip from this interview that's been floating around the internet, and it's me calling my fans antisocial and basement dwellers, and I was like, I didn't like, you know, interacting with my fans. I just want to be clear, like, that was my realization. I think a lot of people are like, of course that happened, is because you were creating that culture and you were attracting those people. And it's like, yes, I know. I know now. I didn't know before. It was my realization upon, you know, meeting more and more fans that I was like, oh shit, you guys are struggling. It was easy for me to identify them struggling when they were outside of my body. But the antisocial basement dwelling incel that was inside here, I couldn't acknowledge that. I couldn't recognize that. So I needed the mirror to be held up to me. In closing,
that's actually an interesting point to make, though, that, like, yeah, I think realistically, like, it's harder to recognize problems when they're affecting you. Then it might be easier to see the same problem with somebody else and recognize it. But who did he think his fans were? Like, who did he think were the people that were watching his content were? Like, what, I wondered, like, I don't know if he's going to explain this a bit probably now, but what was the perception that he had at his fans? Did he think they were all, like, truth seekers, free thinking, I don't know, like, capitalists? Or, like, what was his, like, mindset, what his fans were in his head to the reality of it?
I want to say that I have always thought that I was an empathetic person because I thought, well, I get angry, I get sad, of course I got empathy. Seems easy, right? Empathy? I definitely have that. There were moments where, like, a dog would die in a film and I'd cry. So it's like, of course I have empathy. But I never did. I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. And I'm very ashamed to admit that. It sounds really pathetic to say at the age of 32 I've acquired empathy, but I have, and I've realized it because I just, like, can't help myself but like, feel for other people's pain and suffering now. I'm still not perfect. I think that is you know, my empathy meter's only maybe like a quarter of the way filled up potentially, but it's at least there. And I just want you guys to know that you can unlock ability empathy if you know, experience more life. It might take you getting hurt a little bit, but it's worth it. It is so worth it. So thank you for watching, everyone. I do want to create more regular content, and you know, I don't want to just have the next 5 videos be apologies. So I have uploaded a squirrel video on my second channel if you want to watch that. I guess as one final thing, I just want to thank everyone who's given me the space and the compassion to grow as a person, because it's taken longer than it probably should have. I appreciate everyone, and I think most importantly, I appreciate my wife, Anissa. She has been insanely compassionate and helpful and patient in you know, allowing me to grow over the years, and has legitimately encouraged me to be a better person, and not a better person in just like the, you know, idubbbz becoming woke kind of way. She was the one who said that I should try this boxing thing. I would have never done that on my own because I was insecure and I was pathetic. I did this, and I am so glad I did. It's been amazing. So, Anissa, I love you. You're amazing. Right now you're streaming. But bon voyage. Toodles.
Wow, that's a really good video. Honestly, I really did like it. You know, he talks about him not having empathy, him being pretty terrible to other people, like the slur use, him sending people down like the alt-right pipeline. He's like not saying it all directly, but he's talking about it at least. And like, because I saw this happen, like a really big thing on the internet at the time, between him being this guy who was like really like anti-women, anti-minorities, anti-everything. And then eventually, when a problem started affecting him and affecting his girlfriend, and he saw what it, from the perspective of a woman, what it felt like to get so much like backlash for just existing on the internet, he realized that that's what he was doing to other people. And then he started to tell his fans and how his fans have no empathy to other people. And then he actually developed empathy. What he was describing earlier was like him getting sad at a movie. That's not really empathy. That's really just self-centered. You know, it's like maybe sympathy, but it's self-centered around him. It's not for or really about any other person. So I definitely think it was a good job addressing that. The funny thing is, like, you know, him doing all this seems like the most woke shit ever. But it's so funny because, like, it's not like he's doing anything so great for the world, right? Inside this video, he's just talking about the fact that, hey, I was contributing a lot of negativity and sending people down like an alt-right pipeline, and now I'm not doing that. It's not like he's doing the opposite of that. It's not like he's making everybody socialist or like making the world a better place. He's just not doing the bad thing. And I feel like it takes a lot to admit that, you know, he felt like his personality wasn't strong enough to make himself popular. Because a lot of people he was like, making fun of, their content was about their personality, while his was about being hateful and shit like that. So definitely do appreciate that. One thing I do want to say at the end of this is that the change is possible, you know, change is important. And it's difficult to change as a person. It looks like this person is trying to change. So hopefully people can approach that with like empathy and realize that, you know, it takes time to change, and he can be welcomed into like a circle where he doesn't have to be like, where did they go if people are like radicalized online and they want to change and they have nowhere to change to go. So hopefully, you know, people are going to be very critical of him, which they should be. They're going to be very, you know, nervous about letting him head into like leftist spaces or spaces that would be more accepting of like a wide group of people, which they should be. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to be, you know, worried about somebody that you don't know and that you know has done harmful stuff in the past and could possibly do harmful stuff in the future. But I also think you need to let room for people to change and grow, and people are products of their environment. And there's, you know, room for people to, you know, be a better version of themselves. So yeah, good on iJobs for working on that. Good idubbbz. Pat pat.